Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're diving into a really cool idea. What if we aren't just living in reality, but we're actually helping to write it? Let's get into it.
So let's start with this big question. Do you think of the world as, I don't know, a movie that's already finished and you're just watching? Or is it more like a script that you're helping to write day in and day out? Well, this framework we're looking at today says it's definitely the second one, and it even gives us the tools to do it on purpose.
Okay, so the very first step here is all about a huge shift in how you think. It's about going from just being a passive member of the audience to actually becoming an active creator, a co-author of your own experience. And yeah, this lays it out perfectly. On one hand, you've got the passive observer who just sees the world as it is, fixed, done. But on the other side, you've got the active co-author. This person sees reality as this living, breathing manuscript that they can actually help shape. It's a huge, huge difference. So, how do we actually make this shift? Well, it all starts with something called immersive reality. The best way to think about it is like a mental chamber that you consciously step into. Inside this chamber, you're making a choice to see your environment not just as, well, stuff, but as a place that's packed with symbols and possibilities. Right, so if Immerse Reality is the chamber, then the virtual creative factory is the engine that makes it all run. This is your own internal processor, you know? It's the mental system that grabs all that symbolic data you're collecting and starts to turn it into meaningful narratives and mental models you can actually use. Okay, so how do we actually do this? What's the first step? Simple. You have to consciously decide to enter that chamber. You have to immerse yourself in this new way of seeing. And let's be super clear here. This isn't about making things up or hallucinating. Not at all. It's about a shift in your focus. It's a conscious choice to look at your surroundings like a living story that's unfolding right in front of you. And guess what? You're the one holding the pen. Okay, so once you're in that immersive state, your factory needs some raw materials to work with, right? That brings us to step 2, finding these things called symbolic anchors. So what's a symbolic anchor? It's actually really simple. It's just an everyday object that you choose to give a second, deeper meaning to. It becomes like a bridge, connecting the normal physical world that everyone sees with this personal, symbolic world that you are building for yourself. This is a really key idea. It's like reality is bilingual. It speaks two languages at the same time. You have the literal language, the facts. A bell is just a piece of metal that makes a sound. But then there's the symbolic language, the layer of meaning. A bell can be a call to be present, to pay attention. See the difference? All right, let's make this real with a few examples. Take a simple bell. It can totally be an anchor. You just make a conscious decision that every time you hear a bell, it's not just noise. It's your personal reminder to just stop, take a breath, be present. Or what about this? Say you find a feather on a walk. Literally? Yeah, it's just from a bird. But as a symbolic anchor, you could decide it represents your connection to nature, or maybe it's a link to your ancestors, your family history. It's totally up to you. And a lighthouse is another perfect one. I mean, its literal job is to guide ships, right? But symbolically, it can become your personal beacon for finding your way when you feel a little lost. In every one of these cases, you're taking something ordinary and charging it with extraordinary meaning. So once you have these anchors, now what? All right, you've got your symbolic anchors. Now it's time to fire out that virtual creative factory. It really has two main jobs: filtering out all the noise and then abstracting the meaning from what's left. First up, filtering. We're all drowning in information, right? So the factory helps you tune out all that static, all that noise, and just focus on the core essence of your symbols. You can think of it like an anti-infoxication mode. And then, once you have that essence, the factory abstracts it. It turns these simple symbols into bigger things, like powerful stories or archetypes that can actually help you navigate your life. I mean, look at the dragon. This is a perfect example of abstraction in action. A dragon isn't just some creature from a fantasy book, right? It's an archetype. It's a symbol. So inside your factory, it can become this powerful mental model for resilience. The next time you face some huge, scary challenge, you can frame it as facing your dragon. And just like that, a stressful event becomes part of a heroic journey. And hey, this doesn't all have to be super serious, epic stuff. The factory can also work with playful myths. You could use a symbol from a funny story like a gumacino or a snipe hunt as a way to consciously inject some humor and creativity into your life. It's a great reminder that not all meaning needs to be so heavy. So what happens when you just keep doing this? Because this isn't something you just set up once and forget about. No way. It's a living, breathing, dynamic process. And this is the really crucial part. It's a feedback loop. The more you actively engage with these anchors, the more powerful and sophisticated your inner factory becomes. You are literally day by day expanding your own ability to create meaning. And what's the end game here? Well, your world can start to feel like what's called a sensory archive. Objects around you are no longer just things. They become these active nodes, each one holding layers and layers of personal meaning, sensory data, symbolic data. Your reality just gets richer, deeper, and way more interesting. So that leaves us with one final question. And it's really more of an invitation, because this isn't just some abstract theory, it's a practice. So I want you to look around, right now. What everyday object do you see that's just waiting to become a symbol for you? What part of your reality is ready to be transformed from the mundane to the mythic? The chamber is waiting.